In this video, I'm going to teach you how to make my version of Italian Sunday gravy that might be better than your Nonna's. If there's one recipe that embodies the spirit of this channel, it's Italian Sunday gravy for so many reasons that I'll get into, so let's get cooking. This recipe starts with two 28-ounce jars of whole San Marzano tomatoes, 2/3 of a cup of beef broth, a slab of baby back pork ribs, not spare ribs, a pound of hot Italian sausage links, 2½ onions, 12 meatballs, 4 cloves of garlic, and 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. Baby back ribs are perfect for this recipe because the meat will become amazingly tender and melt in your mouth. Also, shout out to whoever was in charge of the 1990s Chili's marketing campaign because I want my baby back ribs is still stuck in my head 25 years later. Cut these ribs into 2 rib slabs and generously salt them before cooking. Brown the ribs in 2 batches in your Dutch oven or sauce pot with some olive oil, which should take roughly 5 minutes. While the ribs are browning, start chopping your onions and embrace the garlic smash. As an endorser of the slow foods movement, I always reject processed garlic for many reasons, mainly taste. And yes, it's mildly annoying to peel the skins and have your hands smelly and sticky, but if garlic triggers you, this channel probably isn't for you. Plus, just wash your hands. Checking back in on the ribs, this is good enough. Maybe they could brown a little bit longer, but good enough for me. So on to the next batch of ribs, and now I'm inviting the sausages to join the party. I like hot Italian sausages here because the mild heat adds another dimension of flavor to the sauce. If you don't like the spice, just sub out sweet Italian sausage, it'll work just fine. Add a bit more of oil if needed and brown the sausages for another 5 minutes. This browned meat and fond bits are the foundation for the amazing sauce. With some great fond built up, or kitchen crack as I call it, we're going to kind of deglaze our pan with onions and scrape all the brown bits off the bottom. I also add 1.5 teaspoons of oregano here, and we only want the onions to soften and start to brown by absorbing all that meat-flavored oil and fond for about 5 minutes or so. Next, we add our 3 tablespoons of tomato paste and cook the mixture until it turns dark, which takes about 2 to 3 minutes. After that, we're going to add our minced garlic, but make sure to not let the garlic burn, because it can ruin your sauce. So as soon as you smell the garlic, add your 2/3 cup of beef broth and 56 ounces of whole tomatoes. This will probably only take 30 seconds or so. I'm always using whole certified San Marzano tomatoes here because of the unmatched quality. Because these are whole tomatoes and not crushed, I need to use my immersion blender to get them into a sauce-like consistency. Yes, it's an extra step and one more thing to clean, but the quality of whole San Marzano tomatoes makes it worth it to me. Next, we're going to add back our browned meats to the sauce. The acidity from the tomatoes will tenderize the meat so they melt in your mouth, and the fats and spices released from the ribs and hot Italian sausages will create a magical out-of-this-world sauce. Unlike the Northern Italian OG meat sauce bolognese, which uses ground meats, this just as OG Southern Italian version, or sugo as it's called in Naples, uses whole cuts of meat. The technique certainly originated in southern Italy, but the recipe was arguably perfected by Italian-American immigrants in the first half of the 20th century. Nonnas would spend all day at the stovetop preparing the meats and tending to the simmering sauce, adding secrets one by one, and creating a heavenly aroma you could smell from anywhere. However, unlike the Nonnas, I prefer to cover the sauce and put the pot into an oven at 325 degrees Fahrenheit or 162 Celsius for 2.5 hours. I like to use the time to do other things like spend time with my friends and family, clean the house, or play with my energetic 2-year-old and charismatic 5-year-old. Another step to cut down on cook time is to make the meatballs instead of braciole. Braciole is incredible, but it is challenging and time-consuming to make, so I opt instead for an upscale version of meatballs, which you can also make ahead of time or start prepping right after you put the sauce into the oven. The meatballs I'm making here start with 4 ounces of authentic prosciutto di Parma, 2 pounds of even parts ground veal, pork, and beef, a cup of buttermilk, a sleeve of saltines, 2 egg yolks, a bunch of parsley, a cup of freshly grated Parmigiana, and 4 cloves of garlic. Prepping for the meatballs is easy and can be done ahead of time if you want to save even more time for the day of. Smash and mince your 4 cloves of garlic and finally chop the parsley bunch. This is flat leaf Italian parsley, which has a stronger flavor and a smoother texture than its lettuce head cousin curly parsley. Using prosciutto di Parma in these meatballs is an extra and admittedly expensive step. If you don't eat all the prosciutto first, like I've done sometimes while you're prepping it, it will add a unique flavor to these exquisitely tender meatballs. Like Parmigiano Reggiano and San Marzano tomatoes, I'm willing to spend the extra money on prosciutto di Parma because of its unmatched quality, flavor, and meat butter-like consistency. Prosciutto di Parma, unlike other prosciuttos, is aged for much longer, free from any GMOs or preservatives, and made from pigs raised on a very specific diet, including the whey from Parmigiano Reggiano made in the area. You can't make this stuff up. To make the mind-blowing meatballs they'll be amazed by, tenderness and juiciness is critical, so we're going the extra mile here in making a panad. A panad in its simplest form is some combination of starch and liquid. Legend has it that when Italian-American immigrants were introduced to affordable meats for the first time in the United States, go America, they ingeniously invented this technique to make the leftover, tougher cuts of meat used for ground meats much more tender. It's yet another example in culinary history of immigrant ingenuity and the resourcefulness of poorer home chefs, turning lemons into lemonade or something like that. For my 2 pounds of ground meat, I'm using an entire sleeve of saltine crackers as my panade base, along with 3/4 cup of whole milk. For extra richness, a better binder, and flavor, I'm adding 2 egg yolks, my chopped parsley, and half a teaspoon of crushed red pepper to. Similar to Indian curries, each auntie has their own version of Sunday gravy, with their secrets or closely guarded braciole recipes. However, one thing was true across all Italian-American families. This meal was traditionally made and enjoyed on Sundays for the entire extended family. My earliest memories are from my vegetarian Polish mother making this meal stovetop when I was a child. Think about that for a second. Once the mixture is softened and well combined, add your ground meats, that meat butter prosciutto di Parma, 1 cup of freshly grated Parmigiano Reggiano. The combination of ground veal, pork, and beef is the best I've found for flavor and tenderness. Some people might be grossed out by this step, but I think using your hands are the best kitchen tool option here. Those phalanges and opposable thumbs for the win once again, having evolved to be one of the best tools humans have. Combine all the ingredients and start forming them into meatballs with your hands. 2 pounds should create about 24 meatballs. I always make a double batch and will only use 12 meatballs in this recipe and save 12 for next weekend. I'm going to start cooking my meatballs after the sauce has been in the oven for 2 hours by heating some oil in a pan and browning them on all sides, which takes about 5 to 7 minutes. Take the sauce out of the oven. Oh my God, look at that. I wish smell-o-vision was a real thing. Get on it, Elon or Zuckerberg. Add the brown meatballs back to the sauce, cover and return to the oven to cook for another 15 or 20 minutes until the meatballs are cooked through. It's time to cook your pasta while the meatballs are finishing because you want to serve this puppy hot at the table family style. To finish the pasta, take a couple big scoops of the sauce and stir it vigorously. In my house, I do have to ration the meatballs for everyone so they don't steal them for themselves. Serve the meat platter, the pasta, and the extra sauce all family style at the table and watch as everyone devours in majestic silence. This recipe is amazing, and I made it for Christmas dinner this year, celebrating with our family. My father-in-law, who's an excellent cook himself, told me it's his favorite dish that I've ever made him over the years. Now that's high praise coming from someone like him. Yes, it does take a while, and I'm nowhere near Nonna status because I only make it for special occasions when I have the time, not every Sunday like they do. Maybe I need to channel my inner Nonna more often.